first of all, this show is actually freaking awesome. It's insane. So at first I was like, okay, so we are going to make a series. And I'm like, okay, so the first movie was pretty good. I really liked it. The second movie was not bad. I liked it too, you know. But then it's like, okay, so what can we do after this? Like, what's the next step? And what I'm talking about first movie and second movie, I'm talking about the newer ones, right? Not the old ones. And I was like, yo, what can they actually do with a series? Like, what can they actually do with a new series? And then I watched it and holy bamboozle. Oh my God. I was locked in. From the first episode, I was just locked in. So let's talk a little bit about it. Welcome to Derry. This amazing, outstanding, just really good show, right? So I'm someone that generally just love anything horror, like anything that has to do with like monsters, killers. You might say my mind is a little twisted. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I love that shit, okay? So this series, I didn't think it can be any worse than the first two movies. Like, I generally watched the first two movies and I was like, this shit is kind of scary. Like, this clown is kind of scary, you know? But then as I watched the series, I was like, oh my God. So guys, I am going to do my best to not give any spoilers, okay? But we gotta talk about this, okay? So let's talk about Pennywise, okay? The monster, the clown, the guy, whatever you want to call him. So there's this common misconception that Pennywise is just this clown that just, you know, that loves to like scare kids. Although that's kind of true, like that has some truth in it. But the real fact, which I love that they touched upon this in the series, is that Pennywise is actually this interdimensional monster. So the truth is that Pennywise is actually this cosmic entity, right, that came to Earth millions of years ago, and then that just stayed, and then he landed, and over the years, that place turned into Derry, hence the title, It, Welcome to Derry. But most people think that Pennywise is just this clown that just loves to scare children away, right? Or is a demon clown, right? But that is not actually true, because Pennywise is a cosmic entity that basically landed on planet Earth millions of years ago, and he's not even from our planet, like whatsoever, right? And essentially this being, this monster, feeds on fear, right? So basically, the more you're afraid, the better the hunt. The more you're afraid, the more it can feed on that. That's what makes him stronger. That's what he feeds on. That's what he likes to see, as he basically kills you and sucks your brains, okay? That is basically what Pennywise is. Alright, so in a series, there's this idea that there's basically this entity that lives in a specific zone, in a specific area. And the whole plan is to make sure that the entity doesn't travel beyond that area, right? It can't go past it. And if it does, everyone's basically screwed. Like, that's the idea, right? So let's jump back to Pennywise. So Pennywise, in a series, they basically showed us the clown, and they showed us how the clown was actually a real person, right? And how he basically got devoured by the actual entity, right? And then the entity takes the form of a clown, and there's a reason why. There's a specific reason why. It's not because it is funny, okay? That's not why. It's just because the clown primarily feeds. And what I'm talking about the clown here, I'm talking about the actual monster, right? I'm talking about the entity. I'm talking about the cosmic entity here. It feeds on children primarily. But that doesn't mean that adults are safe, as we saw in the series. They are really not. They are so not safe, right? But it primarily targets children. And one of the best ways to do that in that time is actually by dressing up as a clown. So the entity, which I'm going to call Pennywise from now on, takes the form of a clown to basically appeal to children in some way and then scare the living shit out of them, right? That's the whole point. And even though in the series they showed Pennywise as this human being, right? Like in the form of a human being, and then he got devoured by this entity, right? So this doesn't actually mean that Pennywise was a former human being, as some of you might think. He was never a human being. And something that I feel like was very well explained in the first two movies is also that Pennywise is known to be a shapeshifter. So that means it can take pretty much any form, and there's really and truly no restrictions. And in this case, one of the scariest things about Pennywise is it's going to take the form of the thing that scares you the most, okay? And this is why Pennywise is just such a monster, okay? Because just think about the most effed up thing. Think about the scariest thing that you can possibly think of, right? Think about the thing that scares you the most. Now, visualize that thing being in front of you. That is what Pennywise is going to do. Yeah, it's scary as fuck, right? So what we know is that Pennywise feeds basically every 27 years. And once it's done feeding, it goes back and hibernates until the next time where it's feeding time. And there's a reason why Pennywise doesn't actually show its true form, because if you see his true form, it will literally break your mind. So all this to say, this series is a must watch. If you haven't watched it, I guarantee you are gonna like it. And something else that I really liked about this series is that it was giving me Stranger Things vibes, like from beginning until the end. You know, we have this monster that we wanna basically, you know, kill, right? And this monster takes over like a town, and you know, it's like controlling people. It's literally killing people. So there's kind of like a resemblance there. So if you really enjoy Stranger Things, chances are you will like It Welcome to Derry. So all this to say that It Welcome to Derry isn't technically a clown story. It's basically a cosmic horror story. Right? And I know that sounds crazy, but that's really what Pennywise is. Anyways, y'all, if you like this content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.